Hello everybody and welcome back to M&J Games. I am Michael and today we're looking at a park that I believe is created on the PS4 as it says it's 70% on the PS5, so it's just over the PS4 limit I believe. And it's called Cascade Gardens and it is created by Wildmanwolf or Wildmanwolfie. Honestly, I don't know which way it's pronounced, and that's why I teach math, not English. So that's what I always tend to say to my students. If I misspell something, which sadly does happen every once in a while. This is the second park that I have spotlighted by this creator, as the first one was one of the earlier parks on the channel that I spotlighted. So make sure to go click on the link below to check that out. And without further ado, let's go ahead and get started with the tour. We are right out here in the parking lot, and this is actually the what would be a parking garage, it looks like, and potentially, yeah, it looks like just a parking garage for obviously parks to park. So that's a way to kind of hide some of that terrain or hide something into that terrain that you obviously, because I think that terrain's actually, oh gosh, did we get stuck on a car? How in the world? This is the terrain that you can't actually bring over into the park because of how this map is set up. All of this is actually on the outside of the lines, or not all of it, but some of it is. So I think that's just a way, and I could be wrong about that because now that I look at it, it looks like it actually does go a little bit. But I see that as kind of a way to just a way to kind of tie in that entryway where guests enter the park. And so I think that's cool. And you got a little fence going around the edge, which, you know, I love custom fencing. And so one thing too in this park that I've noticed looking around, and you know, I do like custom curbs. I understand custom curbs are hard to do throughout the whole park, but I don't like how different types of pathing have different curbs. So that's just me, but I know, you know, some of these rounded portions are tough to do with custom curves and stuff like that. And my cat looks like it might be messing with something, so sorry if I all of a sudden kind of have to get onto my cat for doing something. But we've got Cascade Gardens. Welcome back. So let's go get ourselves a ticket, talk to this person, buy our ticket for the day, wonder what the price is. Is it affordable? Okay, so we got a main entryway here, and I love entering a park and having either a carousel or one of those charo swings right there. So I think that carousel works really well. That would be a perfect spot for one of those charo swings with how you got the foliage and stuff in the background. But so right here to the left, we've got a little food court area. Did I just say gots? We got food courts, that's staff-only buildings, so we got restrooms in here. And we got food on this side. So what I like about this is you made a large building, and you make it look like it's got more kind of go into it with the staff and all this stuff, but you only put a couple food places, so that you're not using up too much of the percentage on those things. So we got a nice open space here. I think maybe you could use a little foliage right here, but I like how you've got the staff door there. Is there anything on the edge there? No? Okay. All right, so let's head over this way. So we got Just a Memento. We've got the Cosmic Cow ice cream, Chief Beef. And it looks like we got some custom kind of walls and stuff here for the carousel, which is nice. And my cat is trying to, okay. Gosh, animals sometimes, man, they just can get kind of annoying. So we're gonna stay off the sidewalk here with all these guests, but the park, or the direction said the park had 6 coasters. So we got some little terrain elevation changes, and so we've got a little gulpy thing here, Mexcellente, which is nice. You know, maybe since there is elevation change, having a little fence there would be nice, but I love that look right there of that wooden coaster kind of going over the path. That's really, really cool. So we got the big wheel, and that's the exit to the coaster. And it looks like we'll take an overview look at the end, but I think there's a little backstage right there which is awesome to see. So now here is the first coaster, which is Ricochet, which is the name of the wild mouse at Carowinds. And so let's head up this way. So it's a really long station. So it looks like... Okay, so I wonder if this is... I just want to check on something. Okay, so you just made that extended. You didn't actually... That's not actually part of the station. So I was wondering if it was... If you used the block brakes and so forth. So let's take a look at the stats on Ricochet. Everything's all green, which is great to see. G-forces look really good. So now we are going to take a ride on the coaster, and I will talk to you afterwards. That was a fantastic coaster. I absolutely loved that coaster. First of all, it was super smooth, and this first drop is great. And it's got some moments that, you know, it's definitely got some newer kind of GCI concepts, but then it's got some moments kind of like this long turnaround that are a little bit older. Now, these older ones wouldn't really be banked at all, but yeah, this got slight banking. So you can see some moments like that. Like there's a little moment here with just a little bit of straight track. But overall, I mean, this was a phenomenal coaster. And I love how it just kind of hugs the terrain right there too. So I think that's really, really well done. And as you can see here, we got a little backstage, which is nice to see. Now, my only suggestion would be to have some kind of fencing up this way, because you don't want the non-employees to just kind of walk over to this space. So that'd be my suggestion on the next step for realism from that. But I do love this entryway, this kind of, you know, this driveway in, and then here's going to be your parking. So this would be your preferred parking probably, or maybe handicap parking. So that's probably what these would be right here. But that's a really, really good coaster, really good layout. Really, really strong. Definitely like that. And now just because of... actually, you know what? We'll hop back in flip cam mode. I was going to say because of how crowded some of these pathways are. But you know what? One thing I want to point out too, and so you can kind of see from how this pathing is made that I just want to give you an example of something you can do. And I don't know if you have done this because it looks like not quite with how that is. So one thing that I like to do here is I like to kind of smooth it out. Right? And then if you don't want as drastic of a decline like that, one thing you could do is if we delete this path right here, and I'll connect everything at the end, you can kind of raise this up just slightly to where it's not quite, oops, hold on, to where it's not quite as much of a decline. So then what you do with the pathing is there's two different ways you can do this. One thing you can do is turn flattened terrain on, but the issue there is it's going to tunnel it out, right? So what you want to do is you want to actually, so if we go to length, if we turn the length on, so it's going to do that, and then what it does is it flattens the terrain to kind of meet the path. But the other issue with this that isn't great is, as you can see, it's got kind of a drastic, all of a sudden, degree of incline and decline there. So another thing you could do is you could do that, and then you could delete it. Let's say we delete this as well, and then go back over and you smooth it. So now what it's done is it's actually started shaping out the way that terrain's going to look. And then if you still want some of that natural, almost like trying to make it smooth but not quite look that a lot of theme parks have, you turn flatten terrain off, and then just do it like that. And now that's a little bit of a smoother slope. You know, maybe not as quite right there, so you can see that dip right there. So one thing that we could do about that is, if that's an issue, is we can just raise up this terrain just a bit, like that. And then you smooth it, and then you would kind of do the process all over again. But for right now, for the sake of right now, we're just going to connect that path like that. So you can see it's still not perfect, and sometimes it takes working with it and stuff. And the reason why this now has that kind of incline is because when I raised that pathing up a little bit, I didn't go back and do this whole section again. So let's do this again with flattening terrain this way. Let's do... I don't know why I was wanting to do that. Hold on. There we go. All right. So now, I mean, that's actually a pretty good slope like that. So you can definitely keep that, but just to show you how that could look otherwise, now if we turn this back off, that looks a lot more natural, right? So that's one thing I like to do with slopes. Now, I'm far from perfect with it, but I think that's just a cool way to kind of work with it. Now, so that was just the exit to that coaster. So let's hop back in flip cam mode so we can get a good view of everything. Which this camera is just by far the best way to look at a park. So I hope that was okay, taking a little bit to kind of go over that hint that I have. Yeah, and I do like how you have put the fencing around. Now I wonder, do you have the studio pack? Because in the studio pack you get the much better, you know, the chain link fence, which works better, and you use less pieces. But love the look of this. Looks really good, especially coming around the corner here. Man, how good does those Intamin wing coasters look in this game? Like, those supports that they have in game are just so good. So now we're all ready to another coaster, but I wanted to be able to kind of see from this viewpoint because this looks good. So seeing the lift hill, a lot of coasters. This is my kind of park right here. That's what I like seeing, a lot of coasters. So it looks like we've got a invert coaster here. So you got another flat ride, but the key is what type of invert? Or is it a flying coaster? With how that first drop looks, it definitely looks like a B&M invert. And that's what we have. We have the, it's not, or it's the old school B&M. So this would be the BOA. So that would be like the, if I'm thinking about this correctly, the Giovanola from a long time ago. So G-forces maybe a little bit high with the vertical, but 121 feet, max speed 64 miles per hour. And let's go ahead and take a ride on this coaster. All right, so that was Mean Streak, and there's one thing I want to check on this, because front bumper, I got out of front bumper just because of this kind of knob thing. And so I just want to see how it runs in front bumper. All right, so I wanted to ride that in the front bumper before I gave full feedback, which, you know, I think the layout's definitely unique, something different than you normally see with inverts. And one thing I want to point out here, at least to my knowledge, and somebody please correct me if I'm wrong on this, but you don't really ever see vertical loops anymore that are completely rounded like that. I think it's because of the forces and stuff. Like, the invert loops are teardrop shaped like this one. So that's just more of a technical piece. I do think it needed just a little bit more smoothing, because you could kind of see where it kind of, I don't know what the correct word is, kind of jolted at different knots. And I wonder if, so I just want to, so there's something 4-meter smoothing, so, or the autocomplete method. No, see, so these pieces are too long to where it's not going to work that way. But sometimes with the autocomplete, what you can do is you can autocomplete it, and it's going to make it one long continuous piece. But since these pieces are too long for that, it keeps it how it was. So that's just the one thing I was checking just real quick. But yeah, that was Main Streak. I do think I like the wooden coaster a little bit better, but the viewpoint of that's really nice. And yeah, you got it fenced off too, which is once again nice to see. Because I was wondering if it was fenced off all the way, because it does go over here. Oh, and you got another coaster over here that we'll get to in a second. Oh, that's the Intamin coaster. And so this would be another area here where you could work with the pathing to kind of get out some of those little kinks, you know. Yeah, really, really nice park overall right now. Honestly, I've never really used the cartoon or like the entertainer as much, and seeing this one, my first thought was of the Pokemon from the 6th generation. The I can't remember that starting Pokemon's name, but it was the fire Pokemon. Hopefully, somebody else on here knows Pokemon enough to know what I'm talking about. But that view is awesome. So we got a water ride there. Ooh, that's a river rapids. Oh, I did not expect that. Okay. But then we got the Intamin coaster, which like I said, I just love the custom supports on this. Or not the custom, the actual supports. And then I love how you got the stairs to get down there. Good gosh. And the stairs to get down there. That's that would be quite creepy. Or I don't know about creepy, but that'd be a little intimidating to walk that way. So let's go ahead and check out this water ride. Now, we're not going to ride the ride just because it's just basically this one drop. We're just going to go check out the rolling river. So I like the queue. I maybe would put a little bit of rope and stuff. So instead of maybe having an actual fence, use some of that that rope that represents the barricade is what you could do for queue, because what's to, in theory, keep people from just running in front of everybody right here. But I do love the recessed lighting there, as it looks nice. And then, so we basically go up here. And I like how you've got like little ponds. I mean, the views that you get from up here is just awesome. That's really cool. So then, woo! All right, so now back to coasters. Back to what we're all here to see, is the roller coasters. So let me see real quick. Is this created? Okay, so it's at 70%. So my guess would be this was made on the PS4 with a little bit of a glitch, but I could be wrong about that. So it looks like we got an Aero coaster over here. Let's Actually, we'll do the Intamin coaster since it's right here. And we got a little queue. Is that looks like an RMC over there? Okay. No, I love my RMCs. All right, so let's take a look at this. This is called Hurricane. It's the tie mat, which is the Intamin wing. So let's go ahead and hop on the coaster and let's check out these stats. G-forces, a little bit higher with vertical. Just in terms of real life, trying to keep it around 4. Biggest drop 202, so love that. Max speed 77 miles per hour. Good track length. And 6 airtime hills, so we'll talk to you after the coaster. So that was the wing coaster. Was Hurricane? Yeah, Hurricane. And I liked it a lot. I think it was really good. Second favorite coaster in the park. Honestly, I love how you drop right here. I wonder if in real life if you'd be able to have no support right there. But I do think that's a really cool look as you're dropping, especially if you got a guest walking that way. And then the airtime hills are really good. Now, this is a very unique turnaround. It might need to be just a little bit wider with the speed that it takes in terms of instead of it being so narrow from this part of the track to this part. But I love these little speed hills. Like, it really gives me Hyperion vibes with some of it. Really good airtime hills. I think here maybe creating more banking, like really over banking it here and then over banking it here would kind of create a little snap to it. That would be really, really cool to see. So I think that part of it would be really, really cool. But that first drop's well done. And yeah, it looks really, really good. So now on to the next. Oh, we got another wooden coaster over there. Okay, so these are the other 3 coasters in the park, I believe. So this is definitely not a park that's going to be geared towards youngins or children. All right, so we got, oh, that's a very different style station. I like it. So we got those lights, kind of creates that recessed lighting look. So now if we look here, this is called Raider. It's the American Looping Coaster. So in other words, it's the American Aero Coaster. You look at these stats. Lateral G-forces, vertical G-force, everything good. 132 feet. Max speed 63 miles per hour. You look at the vertical Gs, stuff like that. Honestly, I'm not as knowledgeable on these types of G-forces. So that's something I need to learn more about. But we got 4 inversions, 3 airtime hills. And I honestly have yet to... I don't think I've actually not made one coaster like this in the game. And it was on one of my earlier parks, so it really wasn't good. But I'm ready to check out this coaster, so I'll talk to you afterwards. So that was the American Aero Coaster, and I mean it's an aero coaster. You know, it's never going to be the most thrilling in the park. I do think it had a little bit of rough moments to it, but honestly, that's kind of perfect for these because these are never going to be the smoothest rides you've ever been on, or even anything that remotely resembles a smooth ride. So yeah, I mean, I thought that was a good coaster. So now we're actually going to head this way, and I paused it because I'd forgotten to unmute myself, so I was talking for about 5 to 10 minutes, and it was not recording, which is, of course, what would happen. So I paused it so that we can hop on this wooden coaster right here. So we got another little station here. And if we look at the stats, so it's called the Mean Machine, and everything's all green. So you've done a great job with making everything all green. Vertical G-forces, everything's good there. You got 5 airtime hills, and I will talk to you after the coaster. So that was Mean Streak. Gosh, I swear, guys, I'm so bad at remembering names. Mean Machine. Gosh, that's why I had to check. It's not Mean Streak. That's the terrible old ride at Cedar Point. You would think being a teacher, I'd be a lot better at that. But yeah, that was a good wooden coaster. I still like the other one more, but I do enjoy. I think the coasters you make best are the wooden coasters. Because in your old park that I looked at, I remember there were 1 or 2 really good wooden coasters in that park. As I said before, the first park, which man, that was over a year ago. That's crazy. That I spotlighted for this creator is in the link below, and so oh man, I don't even want to go back and look at that and see how I sound in that with it being one of the earlier spotlights that I've done. So now we got 1 coaster left in the park, and it looks like that is the exit to the station. Okay. Oh, we got a little pre-drop area. So this is called Wrangler. You know, oh, look at that view. That is awesome. Awesome sauce. So that's a really good name for a coaster. You know, let's pause it. Oh no, hold on. Okay, we'll have to wait for that coaster to get back because I think it's probably only running 1 train. And I'm gonna show you at the end how you could get it to run more than 1 and do it effectively. Because I don't know if these are block sections here or what. They look like trim brakes. But I noticed every coaster is just running 1 train. So that'll be a little tip or trick that I show at the end. But let's take a look at the stats for the coaster while we're waiting for the topper track RMC coaster. And I mean, you know, look, Jasmine would absolutely love these 2 because Jasmine's goal is always all green, no matter what. And you've done a great job with this, with keeping the G-forces for them like within reasonable amounts, which is really good to see too. So I think you've done a really good job with that aspect. It's got 2 inversions, 4 airtime hills. I mean, I just think that's well done. So that's a really, really, really good job. And while we're waiting on this, let's kind of take a look at night, just to kind of see how everything is. And so you've definitely got this area lit up. I like how you've lit up. You got lights on the coasters lightened up, especially I always say Hyperion style because that's just what I think of. Even though these supports aren't Hyperion, these supports are, oh gosh, Sky Rush. I almost said Thigh Crush. As I know that's kind of a nickname for it some. But let's go ahead and hop on this coaster. We'll go back to daytime and enjoy the ride on Wrangler. So that was Wrangler, and I think that's pretty good. I love RMCs. This would be a fun one to ride. I think it could be in terms of this first drop with how RMCs look. I think it probably could use a little bit more of a steep decline. Is it just usually what you see with RMCs is it's really steep for a bit and then it smooths out. So there probably needs to be just a little bit longer of that kind of steep decline. So like kind of what I do. And once again, I mean, I'm just, giving a little tips and tricks here and there. Let's see. Let's delete this real quick. Because then I want to look at the end section. So what I would do is something like, so I'll turn angle snap on, and then I'll maybe have it go like this, and then down to 78, then down to 90, and then maybe like two at a time now, which obviously that's going to be a little bit, yeah, so you can see that drop there, and then just kind of go through and smooth it out. So like that's not perfect either, but takes a little bit more of you can see a little bit more of the steepness of that drop, which is, if you look at Steel Vengeance, I mean, that's kind of the concept or idea it has. Now what I want to look at right here is, let me get, so that's trim brakes, trim brakes, trim brakes. So what you could do here is you could turn this into a block section, and then if you go to the settings, you got it on standard, you can go to block section. Now it's going to have two trains on it. Here's what we're going to look at is sometimes what you can do is in the advanced settings, you can turn your minimum departure time all the way up to 10 seconds, which means it's going to wait longer to depart from the station. So if we allow us to test, or we got to wait for all the, oh, it did that. Okay, yeah. So the issue is the first go round, the coaster might wait at the top of the hill some, but then usually it ends up changing. So basically, and because you've got your lift going super slow, this works out. Wait, why is that? What's going on? Oh, you know what? There's an issue here. These need to turn into, that can also be trim brake, but then these need to turn into drive tires. So now when you look at this and it's testing, I mean, the coaster takes a while to get up the top of the hill too, which is to your benefit. And so now it goes down. You see that coaster leaves. Now this coaster is definitely going to be waiting at the top of the hill a little bit for this layout. But you see it's not that much. And then now the coaster goes, and then this one's going. So now you can kind of look and see. Let's see, hopefully. So it barely stops. And then now here. So what I did by turning that minimum departure time, the coaster has to wait in the station a little bit more. And it should be where, see, it barely stops. But then also when you have guests loading and unloading, like that's going to slow down the process anyways as well. So that's one thing you can do. You can put a block section in the middle of the ride. But if you actually, honestly, if you look at the newer coaster models, they're not putting block sections in the middle of the ride because it kind of kills the momentum, right? I mean, dive coasters still have them. You know, there's certain rides, but these RMCs that are being built now don't have them. These Gigas don't have them. And so it's just kind of interesting to see. But yeah, I love the layouts, and as we see this is the other area that we really haven't looked at yet. In here, so it looks good. So barbecue ribs, Gulpy, Planet Coaster sign. Yep. And so overall, thoughts on the park? I think it's a good park. We got a little go-kart ride here, so it's called Motor City. So if we take a look at the go-kart track, I like how you kind of have it built into the terrain and stuff. Oh, you got to kind of elevate it like this too. That's nice. Having the terrain kind of match it. There we go. Woo. And it's been so long since I've driven a go-kart. But yeah, overall, so as we kind of get the overall layout and stuff, I definitely like the park. I think, you know, one area, every time we play this game and build a new park, the hope is that we get better, we improve, we evolve, we learn how to do certain things better. And one thing that I've had to learn, I think, is to sometimes not try to fit so many coasters and focus like trying to make sure I've got realistic buildings and all that stuff. And so that's one thing I would say on the next park is trying to build some more buildings to go along with it. Because when you go to a theme park, I mean, it is just, there's buildings everywhere. And so that's one area that I think I'm always trying to get better at now, and I think I am starting to do that. But like I said, I really love the coasters. I think my favorite is definitely, I'd say if I'm going to rank them, I would say this wooden coaster, then this wing coaster, and then probably this other wooden coaster, then the RMC, then this inverted coaster, and then the aero coaster. So that would be my rankings on how I'd rank the coasters. How would you rank the coasters? So make sure if this is a park you want to download and check out for your own, make sure to click on the link below as it will take you to the Frontier Workshop to where you can download it. And I really enjoy everybody watching this video, and thank you so much as well to the creator who reached out to me, as I really appreciate it. So if anybody else ever wants to have their park checked out or spotlighted, or even if you just want me to take a look at the park and give you some feedback, I'm more than willing to do that. So just make sure and give me a shout, let me know, and hope everybody has a wonderful rest of your day. Talk to y'all later.